誰だ私を呼ぶのは。
Hey everyone! Nichi Sakamoto here with my review of Utawarerumono, the entire series as I know it. This is a really huge review for me, and as you can see, I will be playing the first game to come to PS4, Utawarerumono Mask of Deception, for your eyes to see. I'll just be having it play auto while I speak about the game, the second game, the anime, the second anime. There's a lot to this series. But as you can already see, the game starts off on a weird point because this guy, he wakes up out of nowhere. His memories are faded, twisted, blurred. He has no idea where he is or what's going on. And this is our protagonist. And he is named Haku by our heroine, Kuan. He awakens in this unknown world to this beautiful woman.
ご気分はどうかな。外傷はなかったけど、どこか具合が悪いところがあったりする？まだ意識が混濁しているのかな。お前はここはどう言えばいいんだろう。ちょっと説明するのが難しいかな。
I know how you feel, Kwan.
あなた自
I
身
need to explain this as well.
どうなってるか覚えてる？まだ無理しないで。知りたいことも後でちゃんと教えてあげる。
ああ、そっか、これは夢か。
今はただ安心しておやすみなさい。
This game has a very weighty and mysterious
おやすみな
opening.
さい。もうまた部屋を散らかしたまま。やっほー、おじちゃん来てあげたよ。喜んだよね。今日はおじちゃんのために大好きなを作ってあげるんだから。じゃあおじちゃんがおじいちゃんになってもお嫁さんいなかったら私が結婚してあげようか？私は心配だわ。せめてここじゃなくて向こうにいつ帰ってきてもいいのよ。なんだかあなたが急に遠くなったみたい。昔は何かにつけて私やあの人の後をついて回っていたのに。
薬は飲んだか？目覚めた時にはお前の前に新しい世界が待っているだろう。そうだ、お前こそが最初にして最後の。
もう作ってあげないからでしょ。いいよ。 絶対来てね。指切り玄満だからね。針1000本飲むんだからね。約束だよ。
The last thing he remembers is a promise he made to a little girl.
そうだ。約束。行かなければ待っている。
So delirious and lost in memories, he ventures out to fulfill his promise.
あいつが待っている。
And what does he find? It's freezing cold. And oddly enough, he's in some sort of thin gown. The worst thing to wear out in the cold. Poor
どこ
Haku.
だここは。
He finally comes to his senses and he has no idea where he is.
一体自分はなぜこんなところにいる。なぜだ。
And none of this is even his fault. Poor guy.
ダメだ。思い出せん。自分は今まで何をしていたんだ。いて。
I know what you're thinking. At this point, when I was playing the game, I was thinking, what's the point? I don't care if you're wandering through the woods cold.
なぜこんなって。いや、ちょっと待て。
But you see, he quickly thinks for himself, assesses the situation, and realizes he needs to get out of there.
スースーするどころじゃないぞ。
I honestly really like Haku as our protagonist because he's the most unique protagonist you'll see in an anime game that is basically kind of a harem.
そうか。
Because Haku here,
これは夢。
he's
ダメだ。
really funny,
自分をごま
a
かす余裕
slack
が
off,
ありすぎる。
intelligent, just like the whole package. And he's at least decently looking. So it's like, no wonder the girls fall for him. But it's not all about that. This game is not all about the harem. It has an actual, real, full story behind it.
夜になったら冗談抜きで風邪をひくどころか。
And honestly, it's really well
下手した
written
ら車に死ぬかもな。
because Haku starts out here.
自分が逮捕されていたらしいあの天幕は実在するはずだ。
Eventually, he gets in
そこまで
trouble
戻った方がいい。
because he's out here in the wilderness.
どうする？
And as the game goes along, we just learn more and more about
進むか。
the surroundings, the people, the culture, the nations, everything about this whole world
だが
he is
問題は
in
自分を助け
and
に来て
he
くれ
has
る連
no
中が
idea
果たし
about.
て
But
い
then
る
he finally
自
finds
分がなんでここにいるかわ
his place in
から
the
ない
world.
状況で捜
It's
索を
like
期待するのは
a tale
むし
about
ろいい話だ。
him finding his place in the world.
多少の危険は
Without
覚悟の上
any
で
memories,
ここから移動した方
he
がい
has
い。
to make a
暗くな
place
る
for
前にと
himself,
っとと移動しよう。
make a reputation for himself, and yada yada. And of course, he does all this with the help of that girl we saw before.
なんだ鳥か。驚かすなよまったく。
But this is the first of 2 games to come to the
妙に騒が
PS4,
しいな。なんだってまた
and there
あんな
was a
に
game previous that was made, but only released in Japan, but that came out in 2002, so long ago, based on the original series with the original cast,
気分
completely
が
different cast of characters, but within the same world. Mm-hmm. But I personally recommend, if you want to play this game and the second game that came out in sequence last year, I wouldn't really worry about watching the anime. I honestly, personally recommend you play this game first, which is called Utawarerumono, The Mask of Deception. Then you play the sequel, the direct sequel, Utawarerumono, The Mask of Truth, also on the PS4, came out last year. And don't worry about the anime until after you finish the game, honestly. Because the original anime and the original game don't have a huge bearing on the story initially, at least. But the story within these two games on the PS4 is very self-contained, so you don't have to worry about the original game or anime. But if you wish to watch it before, I would say wait, because I feel like the original game and the original anime would just spoil the story for you. I mean, it'd be very difficult for you to even play the original game because all they have is a fan translation of it on PC. And the quality wouldn't be anywhere near the quality of this game. I guess I should explain what kind of game this is, even though I'm sure you've noticed already. The two games that came to the PS4 are, interestingly enough, a hybrid visual novel series and a strategy RPG series. Very interesting. Even though it is primarily a visual novel, it takes the strategy RPG aspects, weaves them into the story so that you can get sort of greater knowledge about the characters in the world, because the strategy RPG aspects give you the stats on the characters, you know, whether they're strong, how strong is their defense, attack, and speed, and they have different abilities and things. I'll go more into detail on the battle system when we get to a real battle, but I just really like the way the game weaves the strategy RPG into the story to enhance the storytelling. Because without it, honestly, I don't think people could get through this game because it is so dang long. I started playing this game last year, like May 2017, and now it is the end of February 2018, and I've just now beat this game. Honestly, I could have beat it December last year, pretty much, if I just put like a lot more hours into the second game. But it is surprisingly long, but don't let that deter you, because this story is really quite incredible and well written. The characters are very dynamic and interesting, and they have a huge cast of characters for the story to delve into. And it includes a lot of cute girls. Like some really adorable girls. And then they have some pretty great guys too. Actually, they have some really good villains too. Like every character shines in their own way. It's just really great. And then of course I have my personal favorites. Like my favorite girl is Ruletea and Atui. Those are my favorite. But all the girls are so cute. I just can't dislike any of them. Like it's just amazing how well written the characters are. They're each so unique, and they're not two-dimensional at all. I mean, like, of course when you first meet them, they're like, oh, you're like this kind of character, that kind of character, but it's the same as meeting someone in real life, because the more you speak to them and the more you talk to them, the more you get to know them, and it's just like this game. We're at a sort of intense moment in the story. But this whole game is really, well, it's not like intense all the time, but it is really dramatic. And the music is great. Do you hear this song? The music suits the scene so well. Like there are a ton of tracks in this game that do get played over and over, but they're just so great you can't really get tired of them. And they just suit the scenes so well. And if you like those old style Japanese kind of stories, sort of historical Japan kind of stories, then you'll really like this one. Because all the characters are clothed in like what do they call it? Old what do they call it?
今のうちに急いでここから離れないと。
All the characters are clothed in though all the designs for the clothes are very unique, but they're all clothed in old type of Japanese robes. Just a whole bunch of Japanese robes, so you can tell sort of what era you're in as soon as you meet the characters in the game and stuff.
何かつぶやいている。しかし空気漏れしてるような感じで。
And if you're turned off by like mystery type of things, like you're like, oh, it's just a mystery. They're just trying to flash that mystery to get you enticed, but no, they use the mystery. They use the mystery aspects really well, and they slowly reveal to you all the secrets within this entire world, and the characters and their backstories. So it's really cool. Of course, the game is pretty slow paced because it takes its time developing the world and the characters and everything, but if you're patient enough, and if you just play this game maybe when you want to relax and just kick back, of course you have to read every single line because there's only the Japanese voice acting, there's no English voice acting. But I can see an obvious reason for that. This game came to a worldwide release, I believe, a year after Japan. It was released in Japan. So if they had put English voice acting in it, it would have taken maybe another year or so just to get it out, because there's just so many lines in this game and they are fully voice acted by the Japanese cast. But I'd give the Japanese voice cast like 5 stars. They are really amazing. Such unique voices. You can really feel the characteristics of each character, and you can notice the different ways they talk as well. I mean, if you listen closely enough. But they all have each a unique voice that really makes the character so much more alive, even if it isn't in English. And this is his first time actually meeting the girl in the tent earlier and remembering her.
本当に美人さんだな。
私の顔がどうかした？
いや、別に。
それにしても少し目を離した隙にいなくなったと思ったらあんなことになっている。
But this is how pretty much the entire game plays. A silhouette of the character is shown and the text bubble along the bottom through the entire game. This game is about 60 to 80 hours long. I'd give it about 70 hours just going through the main text. At the end of the game, they have a series of challenges for those of you that like the strategy RPG aspect, which I was surprised. Actually, I didn't expect that at all, but they actually have some challenging battles that you can fight. I haven't done it yet, but I want to do it so I can 100% this game, because honestly I didn't know. I never even dipped my toes into Utawarerumono before the game came out. Like, I watched the anime right before the game came out because I was asking my friends and I was like, do I have to watch season 1 just to like understand this game? And they're like, well, they said yes, because this is why I say you should not watch either of the anime. Don't watch any of the anime before you play this game. That's my personal recommendation. Because the first game on the PS4, Utawarerumono: The Mask of Deception, is completely covered by the anime. The most recent anime. Oh look, it plays the opening song. This is the opening song for the game. It's really beautiful. Oh, I hope I don't get striked for this. Whatever, I don't care. The mystery, the beautiful anime opening. But basically, the very old and original anime with the original cast of characters goes over all the content within the original game. And the second anime that is currently on Crunchyroll, not dubbed but only subbed, covers the entirety of this first game, Mask of Deception. If you watch the anime, it will show all the main points of this game up until the end of this game, but not the start of the second game. So if you want the full story, even after the anime, you have to play the second game. But I find that it is totally worth it to play the first game, because I watched some of the season 2 anime that covers this game, and it cuts out a lot of details, and I don't feel like it develops the characters as well as the game does. It just presents them as they are, and it manipulates the characters and the details to fit the anime, because there just isn't enough time. But I think the anime was really well done, considering everything they had to cover. I look forward to finishing the anime. But I can tell it ends right at the end of this game and doesn't pick up on the second game. So they made the second game to basically finish off the whole series. And I know because I saw the end of the second game, and it makes perfect sense to me.
確か奥の方にしまったはずだけど。あったあった。捨てるわけにもいかないからどうしようか考えてたけど、まさかこんなところで役に立つなんて思ってなかったな。
But if you have already seen the anime and you want to play the games, then it just gets even better from there, because the anime is very different from the game, because the game just says so much. And even the events sort of happen differently. They really tweak the events in the anime just to shorten everything. But I'd say both the games and the second anime that covers this first game are very well done. Briefly speaking on the original anime though, I honestly really like the original anime. I got the save edition from, you know, Funimation, and it's dubbed by Funimation. It's nice, very nice anime, 24 episodes, but it's decent. It's not brilliant like the second anime and these two games are. It's not brilliant, no. I mean, the characters are nice, it's calming. I saw a lot of potential in this first anime. It had a lot of potential, but it just sort of fell flat. It couldn't properly summarize the details of the world and the characters. Watching, this is why I say don't watch the anime, because the first anime left me with so many questions and it put me off from playing the game. Like, I was honestly kind of dreading playing the game. As soon as I watched the anime, I was like, can I really expect this from the game? But this game delivers way more, like 100 million bazillion times more than the anime ever did. But the anime does give you a lot of insight on at least the characters that appear in this game, and you'll see them if you want to go that deep. But it doesn't really matter, because when you get there, you'll get there, because there's just so much content within these two games that you don't have to worry about the anime. But the game is brilliant. I absolutely loved it. The entire journey through what they call this land of Yamato. That's what this land is called. Him and this girl, Haku and Kwan, they traverse the land of Yamato and they learn everything about it. Other characters are slowly introduced. The world and its culture, the culture of the food, textiles, everything, their way of life is shown to you bit by bit, and you get to basically live the life of Haku. As you can see, he doesn't expect her to have a tail, and that can lead me into this next point. Haku is a very relatable protagonist, because just imagine if we had woke up like him in this world and we saw a girl with ears and a tail. We were like, why does this girl have ears and a tail? It makes no sense. And honestly, I'm still questioning it to this day, but it kinda gets explained later. Don't expect an elaborate explanation on the ears and tail, ever. No, never. But, you know, it's just a thing that happens to be there. But everything else about the game and the story and everything is so deep and well written. Once you come out of this game, you're just gonna be like, you'll be looking at life completely different. And this game has very little fan service. It has just enough fan service to keep you playing, because you get beautiful like screenshots, hand-drawn of the girls. in certain scenes, but nothing too crazy. Even though this game is rated mature, which I'm kind of surprised it's rated mature because the amount of fan service content is practically none. This game is all about character development, world development, and the plot. That is it. And the strategy battles. Strategy RPG battles.
いや、そいつはまさかそれは本物か？
当たり前だよ。この自慢の尻尾が本物じゃなくて何が本物なの？いや、
それは。
Kwan is also one of the beloved characters of mine. I mean, whenever you make a heroine, you can't make someone that cannot be loved. But I've seen people say, oh, she's just like the plain Jane, the Mary Sue of the game, but not really. Not really. She has a lot of sides to her. Just like all the characters. Wow.
なんかすまん。なあ、しかしな、普通は尻尾が本物だなんて思わないだろう。まあ人は猿から進化したのだし、
Humans did evolve from
そういう
apes.
先祖返りの実例がなかったわけでもないが。自分の目がおかしくなってしまったのか。気品すらある美しい顔立ちと
No problems
美
here.
しい車。それはいい。彼女は十分可愛いと思うが、この際異臭は関係。問題は。
And I just love the protagonist because he's just so hilarious. How he tries to get out of working and doing anything that requires labor.
つまりなんだ。
He is just so lazy. But he's honestly not perverted at all. But you know, you can't blame him for the perverted situations he gets himself into. It's just pure coincidence.
その挙句こんな森の中で置き去りにでもされたら、なんでもない。どうもこの辺りの風習やら。
See, he's smart enough not to question it because he knows he could just figure out more by staying silent and watching the world and observing it and learning the rules and everything and how everything is. I mean, if something is bizarre and it's right in your face and no one else is questioning it, then you're gonna look weird for starting to question it. So he knows what he's supposed to do. Anyway, I'm surprised that the other characters don't ever question the fact that he doesn't have like furry ears or a furry tail. But I guess, you know, considering how varied the characters are, like there's some characters with long ears or short ears with little fluffy tufts on the end, but they probably assume he has like a tiny tail under his clothes and he has a little fur on his ears, but he has a lot of hair on his head, so he mostly goes along undetected, which is really funny. And even now he's learning more about the world, like how they dress and everything. Right here he has to learn how to dress himself, but he kind of fails at it. His pants just fell off. It flops before her eyes. Hello, young girl. Hello. I just love how the music picks up there. And honestly, this game is even replayable. I mean, if you play through it once, you could play through it again and notice things you didn't notice before. I'm already noticing more things about this game that I didn't really pay too much attention to the first time. Because the first time through, you're just trying to absorb all this information and make sense of it. And eventually, you get absorbed into the world as much as Haku does because of that. But after you play through the game again and you learn all the secrets, you're like, oh, this is because of this and that and that. It all makes sense. Even from the very beginning, this game is so well written. You wouldn't even know it until you play through the whole thing. It's just so funny. This game has such a humble beginning, a mysterious humble beginning, but as you get closer and closer to the end, it gets deeper and deeper and heavier, and the plot just gets really crazy. Even the names are very significant. Haku's name is especially significant if you've seen the first anime, which is why I say you shouldn't watch it, because it'll spoil everything. The name is so significant. But if you want to watch it, and if you're the kind of person that just has to know everything from the beginning, you can watch the anime and there'll be no problems. But the anime is just so hard to get through because it's just decent and it's very slow paced, even more slow paced than this game. And well, the second anime is pretty fast paced, very fast paced, but this game is very slow paced, and the first anime is even more slow paced than this game. It just drags on. And then at the end of the anime, the very first anime, it just left me with so many questions. But I am so glad I played through these 2 games on the PS4, because by the second game, it answers pretty much every single question about the entire series. Which is why I'm doing this review over the entire series, so I can tell you if it's worth it to even get into the games, possibly after having already watched the anime, because the anime is really old already. Oh, but what's really funny is how I found out about this series. I happen to like Atlas, you know, so I had noticed that Atlas uploaded the trailer for these games, and I was like, this looks really interesting, and oh, it's about that anime I haven't seen yet. Very interesting. So I was like, I'm gonna buy this day one. And I did. I bought it day one, and I bought the sequel day one, because for one thing, I knew it wasn't gonna sell well over here. It's just really hard to market this game, you know, other than showing the opening cinematic. I mean, the only way they could market it is be like, oh, you like anime games? You like anime? You like games? You like visual novels? You like strategy RPGs? Then this is the game for you. But, you know, a lot of people, it's already a very underrated genre. Hmm.
何かと聞かれると正直こちらも困っちゃうな。分かっているのは日の光が届かない地の奥深くに生息しているということ。そこに入り込んできた生き物を襲い食料とする。
But basically, Kwan helps Haku live in this world, and he kind of acts like her godmother. But of course, they don't advertise that because they could still have a relationship. But as a female, as a girl who likes JRPGs and anime, I can say I absolutely love the way this game treats its relationships and the fan service. Because the fan service is just a side note. It's completely and entirely used for comedy and those sorts of things.
徹底的に叩きのめして追い払うか、苦手と思われる大きな音と光でひるませるのが関の山かな。そんなわけでその数もその生態も
It's completely used for comedy.
なんなんだそのとんでも生物は。怖すぎるだろう。
だからあなた
I
は
mean,
とても運が良かったかな。
there's only one character in the entire series where
今頃は
the fan service is actually integral to her character, which is absolutely hilarious. When you get to that
人
part,
里から離れるときは
it's really funny.
部活に道を外れない。そういった基本的な注意事項を守
What's
って
great
いれば
is I can totally skip everything, and it's really fast.
これからどうするつ
了解した。
Let's get
しばらくこれは
to.
無視化する。
Let me see.
何も思い出せないのはどうかと思ったが。
There's a lot to this game.
自分の名前は
He.
はそう
Yeah, he names her Haku. Can you believe it? It took me forever just to get to that part, her naming him. But yeah, that's what you have to go through. I endured this game for 60 hours, having no idea,
筋肉痛の方が辛い。
no absolute idea when it would end. And just the whole
冗談
time.
よ。
Oh look, see? 3D models. So nice.
朝食の支度をしてる間
I think the first battle is
そこにある荷
soon.
物は
And even throughout the entire game, like, they don't even show the 3D models, which is the part that kind of made me sad a little bit. I mean, like, they do show the 3D models sometimes, but I feel like it was just another aspect of the game they could have used. Like, right there, you saw his reaction to the ostrich. He was frightened, scared, and it was funny.
何時かわからないけどその子はダチョウとかじゃなくて
They
馬
don't
だよ。
even, it's just something they could have used to make the game a little more refreshing, but they stick to the
どんどん常
they
識
stick
が
to
崩れ
the
てく気がする。
the 2D drawings. That's one of my complaints. But honestly, the story was so worth it, and I do want to play through this game again, both of them,
理由は何であれ。若い女の
sometime
一人旅
soon, because it was just so great. Here's the battle. And of course they have original creatures in this world. There aren't too many original creatures, honestly, but there are just enough. There's already enough to this game, you don't need that much.
どうってああそっか大丈夫かな
What's really funny is Haku is the weakest character in the game. And compared to him, everyone else is super powerful. I mean, even Kuan, she seems like an unrealistically powerful character. It's just really funny.
すぐに追い払うから
But that's kind of what I like about. You'll see what I like about the battle system. Hooray! I get to talk about the battle.
今まで散々だった
See, it's so funny. He wants to break out his stress on the wolves, but he's the weakest character in the game. It's so funny. He has to use a stick to beat them up, but Kuan can just beat them up with her tail. It's so funny. So it gives you victory conditions. Yeah, it's pretty standard. It's not that tough. You can see the characters are level. Haku's level 1. She's level 2. She is much stronger than him, but during certain battles you get like boosts randomly. It's just dependent on different things. Can I show? Yeah. Okay. So in the right you see there is a elemental system. Fire, water, wind, earth, and light and darkness. Haku is no elements. He doesn't have any sort of element, but Kuan is an earth person. Yeah. She's the earth element. And let me see. Press square for unit info. They have no equipment. Let's see their current state. The current status boost, defense up. Oh, these are his action commands or action chains. Yeah, action chains. And all he has is his little club, and he can only attack close. Like, 1 or 2 times. He doesn't have any skills, he doesn't have any abilities, no equipment. He's super weak. Does Quan have anything? Attack up. Oh yeah, she is decked out. But she doesn't have anything else. As the characters level up, they get these action chains. They learn more and more, and as you can see, she has the 1 highlighted, but the 2, the 3, the 4, and the FS with the exclamation point are not highlighted. So as she levels up, that will fill out and she will have a final attack eventually. And it has a pretty cool animation to it with the 3D models and stuff. But she'll get other skills and abilities as she levels up as well. They can be very powerful, but I think to begin with they just aren't very powerful. So switch the order. Oh, but you just press down on the touchpad on the PS4 controller to start the battle. And you can also change the camera a little bit, but not very much, which is another complaint I can have, but it's not that great. Fetch the stick. He's so relatable. And the dog's like, arf? What?
Yes.
A classic feint. Now I can hit you. So the attacks here are timing based. And if you press the button when the outer ring hits the middle dot, right before it hits it, you'll see it makes like a circle, basically. And that's when you have to press it. Right before it hits the dot. And then you'll get a critical. How it works is each attack has like the basic hit you'll always get even if you miss the attack. But if you get a critical, it'll give you a slight boost. A few more points added to the damage you do. But but as your characters level up and they gain more actions that they can do within a chain, you have to be able to hit the button with at least some sense of timing to continue the action chain. Basically how it works. But if you want to get criticals, you just have to get used to hitting it almost in the middle. It's not that hard. This game is honestly pretty easy. It's just at the end of the game when the challenges are that it becomes quite difficult. Especially if you haven't consistently used the same characters throughout each battle. And there are options for you to defend against enemy attacks if you get the right equipment. She's just gonna destroy this guy. Yeah, he's dead. It's really sad how weak Haku is. But he becomes more of a... he takes on more of a support role later. He's not an attacker. But what's nice about the strategy in this game is each character... I mean... it's like... it's not what you would expect it to be. And it's not typical at all either. You have to really find your own strategy. What's funny is Haku keeps beating them and then she just comes along and finishes them off. So he can feel all powerful. See, I didn't get a critical there, but it still did 31 damage. But I did a critical last time, I got 44 damage. Now, if you notice in the upper left, her Zeal gauge, Z-E-A-L, is 100 max. You see what happens. Now she's activated, and as her turn ends, she instantly gets to start another turn. See, in the lower left-hand corner, you could see the order of turns. But as soon as she activates her Zeal, which is gained through attacking, and it goes up even faster if you get criticals, it allows her to instantly get another turn. So there is definitely some strategy here. As you do attacks, you get criticals, you maximize your Zeal gauge. You can strategically place your characters in a way that you know their turn will come up and they can just mow through everyone. Kinda, basically, sorta. You have to get used to it. It's pretty unique. But the real fun challenge is just getting the criticals. And then they level up. And there's only a few turns where you have the zeal, but when you have the zeal, it allows you to do your ultimate attack. This game doesn't have the best tutorial, I'd say, but you have to look at the glossary, or in the system. Glossary. And it'll tell you more, but it does have a tutorial. But the second game on the PS4 has a way better tutorial. It has a great training guide for people who want to understand the battle system in depth, or you could just completely ignore it and the game is still pretty easy to beat, even without really knowing everything mechanically. You could just know like one or two things, and then you'll be fine. I mean, this game isn't that hard, but it does have a hard difficulty, so that you can do it. I always like playing games from the beginning, and then you just feel so humble, and then at the end of the game, I mean, after beating the game already, I was so overpowered, and now playing it again, it's just so humbling. Like, the game was this simple in the beginning. Oh, I remember now. It's so simple. Like, this game doesn't get too complicated, there's just a lot to it, but the story gets just really, really deep. Now, let's see if I can get to the first fan service scene. He complains about them walking to a town as they walk to the town. Level up, yay! There's also another thing about this game that's like, you don't even have to be good at the game to do this, but as you level up and each battle passes, you get these BP points that you can just automatically increase the stats of the characters, so that you can basically manipulate the characters to be how you want them to be. If you want a really fast character, you go ahead. Really strong character, go ahead. Go ahead. But the characters are basically already set with how strong they're going to be in attack, defense, speed. What I do is I just give every character more attack, and it makes it great. It really helps out. And for the characters that just focus on defense, just give them more defense. It works out. I just ignore speed. I believe that just influences the turn order. But HP, attack, defense, most important. I don't worry about speed. And then I believe in the second game, it gives you an option if you allocate the BP points to increase the amount of equipment slots a character can have. I never really manipulated that because it costs like 200 to add another slot, and I've never saved up that many points, but I didn't even need it, so. But it's a nice way to help the characters in battle in case you're stuck. But that's pretty much how it is. You play the game for a few hours, maybe. It feels kind of random when a battle comes up, and then sometimes you can tell more consistently when a battle's going to come up. But you really don't have to worry about training and stuff. Because as long as you can consistently keep the same characters within each battle, then you'll be fine going into the final battles. The second game focuses more on the strategy RPG elements. This game's more about setting up the story. And honestly, the second game just had a few better systems that explain the battle and allow you to play around in it with training and other things. And in the second game, you could pit your own characters against each other, which is very interesting because even your own characters that you use can be so overpowered, but then when you fight them against each other, you're just like, oh my gosh, do the enemies really have to fight this? You come to realize that. They walked over to this town just so they could get to some civilization, since they were in the woods, and Kwan decides that Haku needs to help out and learn his place in the world. So they take on a few odd jobs here, and he's absolutely horrible at them because he has no strength. But she is as strong as an ox. But first they come to the inn, of course. This game is just so relaxing. Honestly, you should play this game if you want to relax and then occasionally have your mind challenged by the strategy elements. But as I said before, they aren't that challenging. It's all about timing, being careful with how you move your characters. Since it is based on a turn system, as long as you keep the characters together, you'll be just fine. Yeah, he can't carry the sacks. What's really funny is the little kids can each carry a sack, no problem, but he just has all the trouble in the world. And he can't even like assert his manly dominance because he can't lift a sack. Well, but this is where he shines. He comes to this mill in this little town and it's broken. But so in order for them to grind the grains in the town so they can make bread and stuff, they use that wheel there. And it's his job to push the wheel around. But instead of doing that, he decides to fix it so that he doesn't have to work. And then to get out of more work, he decides not to tell anyone he fixed it, so he could just lay around and pretend like he pushes the windmill really fast. And he's actually really good with numbers, and Kwan is not, so... But I am honestly the most patient person in the world, and you will find out when you get through this game. Kwan is not good with numbers. Free battle, see? It allows you to replay stages you've already played at a higher difficulty or whatever. You don't get as much experience playing it the second time. And the other thing is this game is very linear. There's only one ending. It just allows you to pick different places to go when it's more relaxed and they're doing like, I guess, random skits with different characters to develop those characters. Whenever you get to an inn, it usually does that. You get to an inn, you can choose the place you want to go to as if you're exploring the place, which is really nice. And then you can get to know the characters. But basically, Kwan tries to help him live in the world. She feels it's her duty to give him the ability to work and live within the world because she found him and saved him, and he's just a poor, helpless soul. I didn't think about it. Oh, I think the fan service scene is really far ahead, actually. Yeah, I think it's pretty far ahead. Because they have to be in a tent. Oh, but this is really funny. So he went into the baths, the steam baths at the inn. And he's relaxing after having walked all day. Rubs his feet, finds a lot of sores because he's just not walked so much. As the game goes along, now that I notice it, the voice actors actually do get slightly better. I mean, just those first few lines, I noticed they weren't the best at the characters. They get a handle on the characters later, but they still sound really good, the voice actors.